Welcome to the Jimmy Jam podcast, Jimmy Jam Sessions podcast. As always, if you enjoy everything that we've ever done on here, doesn't matter if it's the hockey content and all the food reviews and everything, all the entertainment and variety stuff we do, hit the subscribe button. We do appreciate you. Let's get right into the business. Let's get right into the thick of things. First reaction, and I don't know if I really want to sit here and say that 95% of America wanted the Chiefs to lose. We don't think it was going to happen. And they just got obliterated. So I don't think anybody, I had my friend Chad, he basically, I'm speaking on whims here and everything like that. He asked me, I thought the fix was in. Thought it was all planned for Kansas City to get the three-peat. What happened? Don't get me wrong. I hate Philly, but every week it was the league. It's just planning the whole elaborate scam. You know what? It would have been rigged if it was a whole elaborate scam. If the Kansas City Chiefs would have made the comeback from 24 down after the first half, and they would have came back like the Patriots did against the Falcons. That's what I was fearing. And quite honestly, it probably could have happened. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid. It probably could have happened. I did not want to put it on Facebook because I probably would have jinxed it. Thankfully, I did not. 40-22, it was over. Jalen Hurts is the most valuable player. I think we've all thought that. But how funny is it? The first drive, there was a flag for a very, very touchy offensive pass interference call. Fortunately enough, it was negated. Kansas City gets the ball back. They end up punting the football. I think they had a non-call or something like that. And and they punted the football. And then Philadelphia gets it right back. And we don't talk about the push, but they only did it once in this game. And it was the first touchdown of the game. I really don't have a whole heck of a lot to go by because I'm just going off of stats. But let's just say Jalen Hurts. I'm not an Eagles fan because when you're a Falcons fan, we beat them in the regular season, and we probably should not have. Jalen Hurts, a class act. 17 of 22, 221, threw 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both had scores. Had 1 pick, was a very bad throw, led to basically nothing, luckily. I got to basically look at this. Passer rating of 119. Fantastic work. Even ran the football pretty damn well. Actually, amazingly enough, people wanted to think that this was Saquon Barkley's day, and we heard Nick Wright from FS1. He literally said on his podcast, and I quote, "We're too buttoned up to let somebody like Saquon Barkley run all over us or take over and win the game." He's not wrong. Held Saquon Barkley 25 carries for 57 yards. So he held him to 57 yards running. There was a bunch of important runs that he did have. I'll give him that much. Barkley ended up having 97 all-purpose because he had a couple catches as well. 6 catches for 40, and they were good, and they were important ones. So almost a buck, almost 100 of total offense. But give credit to Jalen, played a fantastic game. Now, if it would have been more, if it was a teardrop pass to A.J. Brown, it was that first pass that he got that they wiped out because of a pass interference call. But, Hurts led the team in rushing, 11 for 72, including the tush push score. Devontae Smith was your lead. He did not have to do a whole heck of a lot. Devontae Smith led everybody with only 4 catches, A.J. Brown 3. Jahan Dotson had a couple big ones as well. Even Dallas Goedert did not have to do a whole heck of a lot. But the bottom line simply out of this game is, yes, Philadelphia's offense played extremely well against this defense. But that's not who we're talking about here. If anybody is probably the most valuable player, it would probably be this defense. Unbelievable game. 5.5. I'm going to look and see. Was it total pass? 6 total sacks in the game. Two picks by Patrick Mahomes. 1 was a pick 6 and a strip, including a strip fumble. Mahomes, we've never seen Mahomes get beat up this much, but he still dilly-dallied and danced around and still made a couple plays. Heck, they were already beaten, and he still threw a bomb to Xavier Worthy in the end zone. That was his last throw. and it led to 22 points. So when you see that happen, things could happen because that's just how Kansas City is, how they win games like this. But this was not one possession. So that, unfortunately, that streak continues, and now we're looking at what Mahomes, this was a nightmare game, but he was still dancing around, and he was just getting obliterated, sacks. The pocket was just, we're talking about a great Philadelphia defense that was also top 5 in the league. But Mahomes, 21 of 32, 257. Most of his stuff was in garbage time in the second half. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. 2 touchdowns were to Xavier Worthy, 1 to D-Hop. Mahomes, they did not run the football very much at all against this defense. I mean, they did not use Hunt, Pacheco, and P. Ryan hardly ever. Mahomes led their team in rushing. I mean, I can't even read. Hunt only had 9 total. Hunt had 9 yards. Pacheco had 7. P. Ryan had 1 run for 8, and Mahomes had 25 yards. We now know how Xavier Worthy is. He was their number 1 guy. He had 8 catches for $157, including those 2 touchdowns. Worthy was their best. He might be right now their best player, next to Mahomes. Kelsey, not even a non-factor, even though he had 4 catches for 39. I don't think D-Hop's going to be coming back. Juju had a couple catches. Hollywood Brown a couple catches. But we're now looking at just what this Eagles defense did. I don't want to make this such a really long video because we all thought this was going to be a back-and-forth shootout. Colin Cowherd even said this was going to be a clean game. On and off, it was a clean game. But the officiating was going to be watched. Everybody who watched this game, everybody was going to say whenever a big play happens, a first down, a big throw, or whatever, we're looking for flags. Honestly, I think pretty much, I don't want to say Philly tried to basically end this game early, and we know it's never over because, ask the Falcons, ask me. But Chiefs could have came back and won this game. I firmly believe they could have. But when they went and when they got the ball back in the start of the second half, they literally needed to score, and they did not. And Philly drove down and kicked a field goal. That was just the recipe, finally, for somebody or some team to finally, and I'm trying my best to be non-biased and not try to be one of those people that does not like dynasties. My friend Chad is like, I want to see history. Aren't you thinking of history? Well, we could have saw history. We could have been the first three-peat in the NFL since the Packers, 65, then the Super Bowl years, 65, 66, 67, 68, or whatever. They won 3 titles. It was the NFL title. They won 2 Super Bowls. But there will not be a three-peat anytime soon. Not for a while. Maybe not ever. Who knows? There's enough parity. But when the Chiefs are going to 7 straight AFC title games, not a lot of parity. But when I see Patrick Mahomes getting literally beat up, and I'm trying my best not to be biased, but I was waiting for him to make some dancing around gadget throw. Xavier Worthy is going to be that one person that nobody in the entire league wanted to pick up at the draft, and Kansas City did, and that's when I said every other team in the league should do better. Kansas City picked up probably one of the best pieces and the best gadget weapons in the entire draft in Xavier Worthy. They're making their team better just because of it. And but during that entire first half, seeing them, I mean, it almost has a satisfying feel of seeing Patrick Mahomes getting knocked around, beat up. And I know he's going to say the right things. Well, Philly played the best game and we didn't play our best game. I know he's going to say the right things. He has to. He's on a well-run organization. You have to be button up. There was not a lot of talk. There was not a lot of showing off from the Philly fans or the Philly people or the Philly players when they gave away the when they gave away the Lombardi Trophy. They talked to Jeffrey Lauer. They talked to Jalen Hurts. I already lost my head. But imagine if Kansas City would have won. They would have talked about the three-peat. Mahomes would say, I'm not done yet. I want an undefeated season. Let's go for 4. I would have seen Travis Kelce, kneel down and ask Taylor Swift to marry him. Don't know if that's going to happen. It probably will, but we were probably thinking it was going to happen in the Super Bowl and when they win. Not going to happen. Was not a big factor. Taylor Swift was not even shown that much, and when she was, there was probably more boos in the stadium. And she's an Eagles fan, but just because of Travis Kelce, she has to be pretty much a Chiefs fan. But kudos to, it is Kansas City. We know they're never going to go away because they're going to be favored next year. But it's also going to rely on what they do in the off season. I'm proud of the people that I've known in my past over at Penn State, of all the Philly people that I've known. There are people that I've known who are in Philly who I basically flew to Philly to their favorite bar and got a chance to watch the Super Bowl. A lot of them were dancers, breakers, whatevers. And I speak out for my friends Mark Sharon from Pressure. He is a Hollywood producer, writer, and an actor. Flew back to Philly just to watch this. So please do not climb the light poles. They tried doing that a couple years ago when they beat the Patriots. They tried doing that a couple years ago when the Phillies won the World Series. We're happy for you, and I know there are Philly people around here in this region that I am happy for. This is something you deserve because this was something that needed to be done. This is 2 times now that Philadelphia can brag. And I said this on an Instagram post. Philadelphia is the most obnoxious, but probably one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. Not just American sports, in the world. And they did 2 things in the last decade. Beat Brady and the Evil Empire in a shootout with Nick Foles, Philly special and all that. They beat that dynasty, and they just beat this dynasty with Mahomes and Andy Reid and stopped the three-peat. They can brag about this if they want. They are entitled. You can hate Philly fans all you want. Philly can be proud and delighted for tonight. So I'm going to make this not too long. I am happy for those fans of Philadelphia. And then you got to think about what Kansas City has to do because they're going to be favored next year, along with Philly. Probably right up there in the 1, 2, 3 tier with Buffalo, probably with Baltimore, probably with Detroit. There's your top 5 right there. And Kansas City's not going anywhere. This is still a dynasty. They still won 2 in a row. They lost this year. The goal is basically to not ever have to go back to Arrowhead for an AFC championship. So that basically is going to rely on a Buffalo and Josh Allen. Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. Maybe even Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. Possibly even Justin Herbert for the Chargers. You now throw Bo Nix in there for the Broncos because they're just going to get better. On C.J. Stroud in Houston. I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. I don't know what Tua and Miami's going to do. The AFC is still potent. Not as potent now as the NFC. But we're happy to see a little bit of a halting of the dynasty. Dynasty's still intact. You now have to stop, basically, go into next year and realize, and yes, we know Kansas City's going to start the year off, and they're going to probably be totally PO'd, and they're going to pretty much, when the fit hits the shan, they are going to start running teams up. They're going to be that ticked off. However, in closing, you're now going to be probably in what I remember. I said this in a video at the beginning of the season. I said the AFC West was the worst division in the league just because Mahomes is going to run it. Now I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive with Harbaugh and the Chargers, with Sean Payton and Bo Nix in Denver, and now you got Pete Carroll running the Raiders. And if they get their hands on a quarterback, whether it's Cam Ward or Shador, they get the right pieces. They also have Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator. The Raiders played Kansas City tough every single time. They may be a mass rebuild. This is going to be a mass restructure, but they play Kansas City tough every single time. They lost a game because of a phantom flag when a fumble happened. So, folks, I throw this out there. This is first reaction. The NFL season is over. It's time to have sad faces. But this also means Super Bowl is over. 2025-26 season, technically in a way for a majority of all of us and of the teams we love, starts now. Congratulations, Philly. Golf clap. Golf clap to Philly, because tonight they sure as hell, they showed the world. Sometimes you got to sometimes to be a king, you got to take down a kingdom. Congratulations, Philly.